What is this? Wait, what was this fighting? Got rest? Why doesn't have sleep talk? Well, I don't know. They just wanted streaming tips. But there's no way that's a woman. I'm like dead serious. Yeah. Okay, buddy. Okay. I could. I'm streamable. I could.
What do you just make a slave to it?
like that. That's a bigger job.
You just garnish all their wages.
Because the fundamental principle of the North is about like free labor and things like that, and when you bring in this new population of like free like. Okay.
Well, I mean, if you're an immigrant, I guess you're less like if slavery had just like been spread and you're an immigrant from Ireland and you're like, okay, I'm gonna come all the way to America if I have to compete with someone who doesn't have to get paid.
It's told that you
like,
wouldn't have to compete with them in the North, right? Like you wouldn't have to worry with this. So you...
Right.
You stay in the North. Would this place be slavery? Would this not be slavery? What was it, Texas? That was the fun one where they had like an actual like all-out brawl over the election box to decide whether or not they would have like slavery in Texas. Right, but it has to do like national taxes and things like that because slavery did benefit.
What does rain do?
Slavery did benefit.
You guaranteed hit.
To a certain degree.
With electrical moves, I think.
He is right that for public-facing reasons, they would say that had to do with
I'm retarded.
Douglas.
Actually,
he told them.
I actually thought
you need to make this about moral
broken,
slavery, which is already getting a big push. But the economic, it was like a combination. Yes, it's not entirely.
I've never used Aquaring in my life.
The moral reason is not the entirety. Okay, it wasn't. The government had different reasons than the people. Is what.
Okay, the best argument you're giving me that, aside from morality, is that immigrants were afraid of losing their jobs or whatever, or like like losing their ability to work.
I never disagreed with you that was moral. I disagree with your thing that was the primary thing.
So then the idea is that the Civil War was actually fought on behalf of like some immigrants.
I could say economic thing, like an economic thing makes sense when you're in. When like people are more look back at them, but back then not were even illiterate then. So was the moral things
People didn't know
much heavier Irish who had served a brief period of time as a indentured
The
servant.
Irish people probably just didn't want to be slaves themselves.
Exactly, that too.
My argument has been
well, they considered themselves different, but
the reason the public, like the reason the government told the public, is different than what the government was actually fighting for. That's just
that's fair. Yeah,
right.
I don't even know if I believe that.
I believe if you're going to activate people, because like if you're trying to tell someone who's illiterate and like
we didn't make about slavery until Frederick Douglass got his way up into the North.
Yeah. I don't think you could convince people with like
the reason why they were fighting is because they thought the Union soldiers thought they were being patriotic and was it breaking up an insurrection in the South. They were saying their narrative was, we are patriotic beings, we're stomping down these insurrections in the South that are trying to break up the nation. Right, it wasn't until Frederick Douglass came up and he told them the way to get the people more invested is to make it a moral issue, right? Because the government didn't really care about that. It wasn't a moral issue to the government. The government could fuck all them economically. All right, we're fighting to free people.
Affect me? Oh,
because certain people in the North had, yes,
I tricked myself. Yeah, that's not Ambrose.
To convince the government to get rid of slavery for more reasons.
Yeah, and then you had John Brown, who's like, I'm just gonna blow all this shit up. He's like, they were like the original Martin Luther King and Malcolm X.
Yes, yes.
Frederick Douglass is like, hey, let's appeal to their better senses, and John Brown's like, nah, we're gonna take a fort over and like start blasting shit off.
Parasailing over plantation walls.
Yeah, John Brown was a hardcore parkour man.
My argument is the government was fighting for different reasons than like the people. They were telling the people they were fighting and telling people what they were fighting for at the ending like halfway mark, whatever. After they stopped telling them it was about stopping down insurrection.
So what rule lets us nation build but not Russia?
What was the question?
I think Supreme asked like an hour and a half ago, what rule could we apply to geopolitics that would allow us to nation building countries but not Russia?
Yeah, I'm really like I'm not that big of a fan of nation building because it seems like a slippery slope, and then like I feel like the citizens of the country that's going around nation building aren't really seeing like what's happening, so it's easy. Especially like the further away a place is from where you're at, it's just easy to go down a road that's
the citizens
like, not
benefit,
good.
but the citizens don't see like immediate results, which is why, like, yeah, it's like.
If you can show me like a better way to do it, I'd be against nation building. But at the moment, it's like really the only thing we got.
And you're saying nation building through what, soft power, or through actual like military intervention as well?
Well, I mean, if it requires military intervention, then yeah, and then you occupy the area. But then, you know, for example, say a country where it's like just a fallen state. Okay, we're just going to send peacekeepers there to police the area, but then it's a lot more just like economic build up. And like both of those. But like,
I guess if you're nation building like I guess it's easier and maybe a little less painful if you're nation building in a place that has like a little bit more cultural ties than you do. But sometimes I feel like some of this nation building in the Middle East is just like inherently like this is just incompatible. Like I don't think you can reach like a workable level before they go like, no, we don't believe that, and then you have to like what, either force it or just like let it go. Because I feel like the second we left Afghanistan, they're like, yeah, so I know you guys have been here for like a couple decades, but we're going back to the old school laws. We're just waiting for you to leave.
Well, yeah, it's because
women start covering up and stop being educated.
Yeah, it's just because the Taliban took back over.
Yeah, but I mean, but they were always, I don't think there was ever going to be a realistic way where they were going to become some semblance of the West. I feel, at least I don't see any pathway where that would have happened.
Not the West, no, but definitely not being against the West, like military, like terror. I guess like terrorism, like not flying planes into buildings and not like blowing up car bombs and shit like that.
But pretty much, it's like instead of nation building, it's more like nation neutering. It's like you can be around, but we're gonna cut your balls off and make sure you stay quiet.
Well, it's just showing that it's like we're not this like it's going like, hey, we're not this big devil like that's like coming to kill you. You know, like we're like, hey, we're chill, you're chill, we're all good. Like we can shake each other's hands, we're like good to go. Like,
but some stuff is like inherently not chill, right? Like when we think of like the human rights stuff, or are we just like we just tolerate it?
Well, outside of, like, the Taliban, there wasn't a lot of, like, human rights stuff that was that. I mean, yeah, women are still, like, cooked in Afghanistan, but it got a lot better and, like had, like, a permanent control. Like, Kabul, like I said, was, like, basically, like, like, dude, the restaurants there, and then, like, there was, like, beauty salons, women didn't have to wear, like, hijab.
But then is that... But that's like
control.
For sure.
And that's like the same thing that happened in Afghanistan. It's like fundamentalist, like fundamental Islam like cooked like a lot of that stuff. But without that, because the fundamentalist movement was like the terrorist organizations, they were the fundamentalist movements. Without them, like the human rights got like a lot better within these cities. Like there's still like a cultural thing there, but like culturally, I mean, women are still cooked in like a lot of places, like even the West.
Oh yeah, I guess I'm just wondering about the level, because then I'm like, because I'm just wondering like, where do you go with the nation building before you like, not erase, but kind of like water down like whatever Afghanistan was before, and then you're just kind of making like a, I don't want to say a puppet, but just kind of like a miniature, like here's our little satellite region of Western values.
Yeah, but that's like, what's Afghani values? Is it like doing clitoris torture on women? Like what? Like it's like like I'm probably for like cutting a value out of a place if that value leads to like removing women's clitorises because they like don't believe in like like I okay, I'd be for. All right, nah, that's kind of cooked. Like there's no way you could ever talk me into
with joining NATO, and you have Russia's argument.
Yeah, that I guess it dip. Yeah, it's like I guess that came to my question of the more like tolerating thing, right? Like there's more visceral stuff like that, but then the NATO thing is like a
but even without the NATO thing, right? Like Russia wants to restore its USSR borders no matter what.
Oh,
like that's what Russia believes, that like we took away from them their like natural land. So no matter what, even without like the NATO situation, Russia's always going to try and find a way to like get those old that old Iron Curtain back, because they believe that fundamentally is like Russian land.
Oh yeah, that's true. I just wonder when we're gonna stop pussyfooting around and just be like, they're in NATO now, because I'm like, everything we've done now, like I remember Obama like looked Putin right in the face and was like, hey, if you go into Georgia, that's my line. And Putin's like, cool, and he just looked him straight in the face and stepped over it. and then if you go into Crimea, that's our line. And Putin's like, cool. And just stepped his foot over it.
It's the same thing that happened with Nazi Germany, right? It's like Britain kept on telling him, that's our line, that's our line, that's our line. Until finally, we had the line, which was Poland.
No, I thought the line, was Poland really our line? Or was it more like...
the British line, because they were afraid of European
British line.
hegemony.
Oh yeah, because I thought America's line was much later. No. I was like, we were like, let's all right, we're going in.
Well, America's line
was in Poland for 3 years before we joined the war, or something like that.
Well, yeah, the reason you guys joined the war is because you were like attacked, right?
Yeah.
Without Pearl Harbor, you guys probably wouldn't have joined the war. You guys, and then also you guys didn't even have the military. One of the most interesting things about like World War II is look at like pre-World War II and then like 1944, your guys' military size. You guys built an entire military.
We built a branch. We went from Army Air Force to be like, oh, we got too much shit. We gotta let's split these up.
Well, that was after the war. Like you guys built up, and then after the war, you guys are like, all right, Air Force needs to be a thing, and like, the building up was insane. It's kind of crazy. Like when you think about like tomorrow, I open up like a factory, right? Like starting up a new military like battalion, even. Like imagine tomorrow I like buy a warehouse and I fill it with mechanic shit, and then I get you and I throw you in there, right? You're like a little, say you're like a lieutenant or something, and I'm like, hey, I need you to like hire like 70 guys and get this up and moving in like 2 years.
Mobilization was
to like build cars. Like that's an insane thing. Yeah.
It's weird, but thinking back on it, like it is weird that we, like the Allied nations, didn't learn after the first, like how sitting on your hands is like, because like really, like when the First World War, that was the Lusitania, right? Like that sunk, and then everyone's like, all right, motherfuckers, it's time to fucking go. And then to wait during World War II and just be like, this is fine. You're like the dog in the house with everything on fire. Like it's cool, it's all good. Like, it's weird that they waited so long, but, they didn't care about Jews, so, happens.
What is this?
I think my favorite World War I quote was, none of this would have happened if Grandma was here.
Oh, what is that in reference to?
Because all of the nations in World War I, all of the royal families were related to each other. It was a family, fundamentally at the highest level, they were all family. It was a massive family dispute. And it was like after their grandmother died. So it's such an insane quote. Then like it's something like
Europeans like
King George, Wilhelm.
Weren't they all related to Queen Victoria?
They look like they're triplets. It's kind of freaky.
Yeah, none of this would happen.
You guys just married each other off to each other to like make sure like you have a genetic.
I mean, Philip.
Here.
And both were all Nazis and stuff. He was like fighting his family. Yeah, they'd like when it comes to the higher level and that shit. Yeah, man. And then like the different theaters of war that people don't really talk about. Like World War II is like such an interesting war because it was a global war. Well, people don't really realize it because so many people just talk about Europe, where it was like there was the Pacific Front, and then on the Russians, the Eastern Front is airborne groups. Like wild. Special operations wouldn't exist without Africa and Italy.
Because that was like that was Rommel, right? The Desert Fox.
The American side.
That dude was No, Rommel was Rommel's a German guy, right?
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, no. Sorry.
Yeah, Rommel.
Rommel.
Insane. Yeah, I think we should just put Ukraine in NATO. I mean, at this point, it's just shit.
Honestly, at this point,
I don't even know. It's like just stop doing this in between shit because it's annoying.
Either abandon them or let's start deploying troops. One or the other. Like at this point, I'm literally like I don't care anymore. You can kind of talk me either direction. But me personally, I'm for like just deploying troops against Russia at this point. It's like how many years are we gonna like we went through like a Cold War, like we did like the Vietnam thing, like how much longer are we gonna fuck around?
I mean, as cynical as it is to say, it's like realistically, Russia's not going to give any territory back, and I hate like to be in Zelensky's position, but it's like you got to just give that up and join NATO, like to preserve. Like, because I just don't know how, without any intervention from any ally, how you're going to get that back. Like, you're going to get any of that back. Unfortunately,
but even
you're just kind of throwing bodies into the leaf chipper, or wood chipper, you know.
In my heart of hearts now as well, I don't believe. I think they have nukes, but I don't think they're very, very good payloads that they have. Like fundamentally, I have lost like all their. Yeah, I like fundamentally now, like after this whole showing, I'm like, let's just go clean that shit up, dude. Well, I think 9-month deployment of our troops, I think we clean that shit up.
I think if they're willing to invest like what Russia's lost, like over 1 million people in this, like, not that Ukraine's a small area, but in relation to the country, how much they've taken, I'm like, I feel like they know like this is not worth like shooting nukes, like. I regardless of like how good their nukes are, I don't think it's worth like going nuclear for that. I wouldn't assume that.
Yeah. What I mean though is that like if we deploy troops, like their APCs, their tanks, their logistical supply lines, like I think honestly we could probably get to Moscow before they even deployed a nuke the day of the truth. I feel like if we just fucking bum rush the front, I've honestly like with how bad their logistical supply lines are, like I feel like we could do it.
The only issue, like, because we can't do like I can't even do any semblance of an embargo because there's too many, like, China's cool with Russia. Like, I guess that's a factor.
And fundamentally, they're pretty insular.
Yeah, they're so like, I think it's just like, and it's hard. I wouldn't be able to say this to a Ukrainian person and not feel bad, but it's like, at this point, you got to salvage what you can, and I'd be like, but you get NATO. It can't, but the worst thing is,
the argument on the other side is like, what will NATO truly give them? Because I don't know. Putin might like. I think
Russia wouldn't attack a NATO occupied area, right? At least they haven't yet.
Yeah, but I mean, this is like a whole different thing. Like Russia's already like there. They got troops deployed. And then, like, the tantrum Russia will throw. That okay, Ukraine bites the bullet, sacrifices Crimea. And then say they're even like, okay, Russia can have the front they already have now. Okay, but we're joining NATO like that. I like the tantrum that Russia's gonna throw. I don't know.
What are they gonna do? Throw more North Koreans?
Like, hey, listen, bro, they love that pornography, dude.
I don't think the Russian like they're actually having domestic issues. I don't think your average Russian is like dug in that deep that they're willing to fucking sit in a ditch side by side with some North Korean against like the full military might of an American-backed NATO. I don't think the Russian population has a tolerance for that. Like,
historically they have. That's the thing. It's like historically Russia will chop off its nose to spite its face when it comes to military intervention. They have always, in every war they've ever been involved in, scraped the barrel, and they're not even close to scraping the barrel yet. So it's like yeah, like that's what I mean. Like, you might be right, but I'm just thinking like historically, like they're taking a left turn. Like, you know what I mean? It's like
I think the hard thing too, though, is like, with internet and like just globalization of information, it's much harder to mobilize a nation to do something like that. Like, to just throw yourself like compared to like a World War I, World War II, even Korean wartime, right? Like that, like activating people was like significantly easier before Vietnam, and then from Vietnam onwards, it was like it's a real push and pull, right, with your general public. And I feel like, I don't know, Russians they like TikTok. They like a lot of these like Western, quote unquote, Western things that I don't think they have it in them. Like, especially the West isn't threatening to like blow up Russia, to be like, yeah, I know they're not really coming after me, and I know like we have this like new area of Ukraine, but like, yeah, I'll go like fucking throw my life on the line instead of like sitting in my house and like whacking off. I think they're built completely different in a way that they're not going to go in like that, as long as we don't attack Russia directly.
Yeah, I just there's so many
because isn't America's the same way, right? Like, up until like early Vietnam, like guys were just like, yeah, we got fucking take out these communists, we got fucking get it, and then we had a brief period of that like right after 9/11, but then like people are like, wait a second, I don't know if I'm built, if I'm built this way, if I'm ready to just go out in the middle of the desert and fucking get blown up by an IED, compared to like, my grandpa.
I mean, from the American point of view, you guys were extremely keen for Afghanistan. Maybe not so much Iraq, but you guys were fucking ready to roll, dude.
Yeah, in the beginning, because we got struck directly. But if 9/11 hadn't happened and it was like, oh guys, we heard that.
You always have to like that's like the biggest thing. It's the PR game. You always have to like that's why fundamentally why Vietnam failed, right? Like, you lost back home. Like, people were, the peace protests and like people waving flowers around, like, like, why are we there? Like
and then people actively getting drafted. Like, that's how my dad got drafted during Vietnam, and it was like a real mind fuck for him, because like, I think when my dad got drafted, it might have been like in 1966 or 67. So Civil Rights Act hadn't even passed, and he's from the South. So it's going from like a segregated, like much like World War II or World War I, like living a segregated life, and then like getting a paper being like, yeah, so you need to like die to preserve this. This is the American way. Like, it's a big mindfuck. And then for him to live like living in the military, like after the Civil Rights Act passed, and like having to navigate that, like how people had to like operate differently with each other, and it wasn't an immediate like, oh, all right, now it's 1968, you're cool, dude. I think black people are equal now per the law. Nah, that shit took another 10 years before stuff started looking, somewhat like palatable.
African Americans in your military, dude. Like, dude, that's so weird to me.
Yeah.
In the African campaign in World War II, American because that was mostly a European theater. America came to help out, so Britain controlled everything. Black soldiers and white soldiers intermixed in the British military.
Right.
So it was like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying racism. It was like everyone was holding hands, kumbaya, but there was at least like an uneasy alliance that were all fighting against an enemy. But when the Americans got there, they were like, why are there black people in the white army pub? Like, what, like, yeah. And there was like fights in between European soldiers and American soldiers over the fact that it's like, hey, why are you what is it? There's the Army Airborne, there was like an entire like black brigade. And
You're talking about,
the
the brigade, not the Tuskegee Airmen, but there's a different tank brigade in like Germany or something. I think you're.
Yeah.
Oh,
But there was like yeah, it's wild. Like the history of like Black Americans in like your guys' military is like insane. It's like it's so wild how it's like.
Oh yeah, the 761st. Yeah, that's right. They were the Black Panthers. They were literally the Black Panthers. That's right. Yeah, they were the first all-black tank unit in World War II. Yeah, my dad said stuff was like pretty fucked because it's like he went from like joining and guys just being like, man, you know, if we're in the jungle, I ain't saving no fucking niggers, like all this crazy stuff, to like, you know, 4 years later having to see those same guys and being like, like, hey, what's up? It's like,
yeah, I wouldn't even know how to cope with like boot camp fundamentally. Yeah, would be like more white people than black people.
But sometimes even the boot camp, like depending where you're at, my dad said like they would have like a black bear. Because no white guy is gonna let at that time is gonna let a black drill sergeant, like unless you're like if you're in this. Yeah, depending on like where the hometown where these people came from, right? Like, say you're doing your basic training like somewhere in like in a historically northern state, but you're from like Louisiana, and your drill sergeant's a black dude. You're like, I'm not gonna fucking listen to this guy. Who's this black guy think he is? Tell me what to do, right? So, yeah, it's a weird thing when my dad and my grandpa tell me stories about like their early days and into like modern time. Definitely had chips on their shoulders for sure.
Yeah, it's so it's so weird. It's just like because there's a lot of hazing that happens at boot camp. But to be like a black soldier in like a boot camp with white people, like that hazing must have been great.
Oh
like,
yeah,
that's just abuse at that point. That's just racial abuse. Like holy shit. What the fuck?
But like but because like in Australia, like I guess during World War II, you were fighting under the UK, so I guess it wasn't like.
No, the World War II was our first time fighting under our flag.
Oh, okay. So then, what was the integration like of getting like Aboriginal people? Like, what was the percentage of people that were?
Not saying it was perfect, but for us, we were almost invaded. Japan touched Australia, so we were going to be the new land of the rising sun. So it was about like that birth, like the Anzac culture of like it doesn't matter. I don't know if you ever heard a song. We have like a song in Australia called like "We Are Australian," and it's like I mean, all white people we came upon here like locked in chains, and then you know we then like Aboriginal people already here we like took over. But at the end of the day, we all like bleed like blue and gold. At the end of the day, we're all Australian. So, like the Anzac, even like with Papua New Guineans, if a Papua New Guinean is related to a Fuzzy Wuzzy Angel who helped like the Anzacs in Papua New Guinea, you are instantly given like an Australian citizenship even today. Because like of that. So there's like definitely like there was a culture born there of this is our last stand, no matter what. Like this is the iron wall that we have created.
Oh, okay.
Not saying it's perfect. There definitely probably was still like, oh hey, like hey Blackie, like hey Abbo, like there's probably still that within like the units, but like fundamentally at like an overall scale, it was like this is the line. We can't let the line fold. But that's just because like we were touched. Like they like Japan was at our like we were designated the new land of the rising sun.
Yeah, Japan really just got way too bold. Like. Just like, okay, we got like a good like chunk of the Korean Peninsula. We'll just keep digging more into China, and then it's like, okay, you guys could just chill right there, and like, nah, let's go on to like Cambodia and Philippines, and let's keep going south.
Bro, Japan fucked hard, dude. People don't. It's because like we talk about the Nazis so much. Japan fucked hard. I mean, for America too. That's who you guys declared war on. You guys declared war on Japan. I mean,
again, like.
Yeah.
9/11, you can't just like take an attack like that and be like, all right, man, like chill out.
Yeah,
we're good. And we did start I think what was an oil embargo was one of the things that kind of poked Japan on that too. Like, but still a crazy move because like it's like if you think of like during World War I era, like the Japanese Navy like fucked Russia's shit up when Russia tried to invade, and then what's his face? Like, it was General Tojo. I forgot who went, but started the Meiji like he went to the World's Fair in Chicago, came back to Emperor Meiji and was like, "Nah, dude, if we don't start taking a whole shit ton of land, we're gonna get fucked." These white guys are taking. These white guys are they're in Vietnam. They're in Cambodia. These French are all up in here. You know, then down to the south, got these Brits and stuff. They're like, nah, but then they just like, yeah, they went way too hard in the paint.
Yeah, and because of that, like the Pacific Theater was a very harsh theater of war. Compared to like the European
like
front. The only one that kind of beats that is like probably the Eastern Front with the Russians and the Germans. That's like probably the only front that was like a harsher front than the Pacific.
Yeah, I'd imagine Africa is probably really rough too for like those Germans that have been like, oh, I've been up in the mountains of Bavaria, and it's like now you're in the fucking desert of Africa, getting eaten alive by the.
Yeah, I'm talking like horror of war. Like when I'm talking about that, like the
atrocities
we committed. Yeah. Like the atrocities like we committed against each other in the Pacific was like crazy. I mean, like the president of the United States and then the Prime Minister of Australia, had to institute a statement saying, "Hey, can you guys stop boiling Japanese skulls and sending them back home?" Like that was a statement the president and the Prime Minister of Australia had to make like together, going like, "Hey, that's like we're meant to be the good guys, guys. Like, please stop."
Yeah, just went hardcore parkour, man. It is weird, like Japan now, because like there is a growing resentment. I guess now Japanese people are acknowledging Okinawans as being Japanese, because for the longest time, Okinawa was post-war. We didn't give it back until like I think 1972. Like Okinawa was using the U.S. dollar. You know, it was U.S. territory, but then even then, culturally, Okinawa and Japan and mainland are not that similar. And then, even though we kept bases there, like just all these like, rapes and stuff that happen, and then these soldiers would just get sent back to America with like nothing happening. And mainland Japanese people kind of just didn't care, but now they're starting to like have a way more outsized like discomfort and being outspoken about being anti having all these bases with no accountability, because like it's like not even like you have a year where it doesn't happen. It's like without fail there's going to be like maybe 10 to 20 sexual assaults, rapes, and or rapes and murders that happen because soldiers just, I don't know, Okinawa's kind of fucked in that sense. But the Japanese government can't really do anything, because then America's like, yeah, but there's North Korea and China, so how much are you really going to complain?
Yeah, it's I think we were talking about this with like China, but like Asia in and of itself is in such a weird spot, because like they have issues just like everywhere else in the world, but like in Asia you can point to Asia being its main issue. Like Japan, its culture is like actively ripping that country apart. Like now with like the relations between like men and women in the country, and then like what is it, like working relationship, like they have an entire generation of young people now that are just like, no, we don't like the way that like working is in the country, so we're just like gonna refuse to go to work. It's like it's like so crazy. I'm not saying that they don't have like outside economic, but like their main issue at the moment, at least in Japan and in South Korea as well, is like the culture of these places. Even like now with Japan like upsizing its military, we do like a lot of cross, just like half of us about them. And those guys hate training with the Japanese, because the way Japanese culture is, you can't look bad in front of your boss. So they'll like do like a military training exercise where they'll just like break down a door, and they're like, "Look how good we did," and we're like, "That's not." It's a weird issue to have that they have in Japan, and like the only real way to answer it is just you got to change your culture, and it sounds weird to say, but
the thing is like they, by nature of like having an American military and not having to worry about like really having to negotiate and have like good relations, because at the end of the day they know no one's really going to pop off, because like the second a single bullet like lands on Japanese soil, like America will just like
America and Australia are there instantly.
So
Yeah.
I like from living there, I feel like when I lived there, I tell people it's almost like being in the Matrix, because like the news, you don't really see international stories. Like if I didn't actively go on the internet and look stuff up, like if you told somebody in general, like, oh man, like isn't it crazy, like in Washington DC, like Trump just activated the military, they'd be like, what? And then you turn on their news and they're like, oh, there's a new mascot for this train line, and that's like an hour. Or like instead of which is really sad, back in like the 2010s, like they had all these girl groups, like they're called like AKB48, like all these other ones where it's just like a giant group of girls in like school uniforms, like doing choreography and stuff. But it was such a huge phenomenon during that time that they would literally televise like elections. So what, like it was this big complicated thing where there'd be regional groups, and then you'd want to get good enough in your regional group and have a big enough social media presence for the citizens of the country to vote for you to go up to the main roster. And they would show those elections like on TV, and it would have higher ratings than an actual political election. Like if you ask your average Japanese person what political like party, well, they have a ton of them because they have a parliament, but like, oh, in a broad stroke, like where's your political leaning? They'd be like, I don't know, like I don't need to care. Like they just run on autopilot. They're like, I have robots and everything's automated and I'm fine.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, even recently, with the way that they like kind of did like we like forget about it with like World War II, and then only recently have they really been like looking back historically and going like, oh, this is like a thing that happened. Because before that, there's like entire generations that like don't realize that they're in war with America because they just don't really teach that at Japanese school.
When I was teaching, I would sit in on history class, and their Ministry of Education is run by a very like right-wing group of the country that is like, you know, whatever, whitewashing history. So you read a Japanese textbook, they'll talk about like, oh, during World War I, you know, we fucked up Russia, you know, they tried to invade Hokkaido, we took that or whatever. And then the way that they'll phrase World War II is like, yeah, so like, you know, Japan felt very threatened by the encroachment of like Europe in the West, so you know, Emperor Meiji started a revolution where we really need to like industrialize and like expand our territory. And then America started messing with us, and we had no choice but to do Pearl Harbor. Then they nuked us, and then it's like, in the end, they don't talk about Nanking, they don't talk about the Bataan death marches, they don't talk about Guadalcanal. They really just like gloss over all of that to like, I don't say a victim. It's not even a victim mentality. It's a little just like, let's just, like they call the Nanking. They call it the Nanking incident, and the numbers that they put down, because they'll be like, yeah, there was like an incident where like, you know, some stuff sparked off and like, you know, we had to like kill a bunch of people, maybe they're civilians, but like it's the equivalent of like how someone's like, they won't deny the Holocaust happened, but they'll be like, yeah, but maybe it was only like 1 million Jews.
It's like 2 million, right?
So Japan's like, I don't know, maybe like 1,000 people died. Massacre, let's chill out. They literally, during the Nanking massacre, in Japan on the mainland, there were newspapers that were almost like it was like a sport. There was these two famous, they weren't generals, but they were like lieutenants or whatever, that were like reporting back like how many people, I think it's like how many people how many people they beheaded in China, and like the Japanese newspaper will print like, oh, like fucking General Biggies that like are Lieutenant Biggie at like 45, but Lieutenant Dinky's.
And it even happens with like their new Air Force plane that they made like 5 years ago. They accidentally had the same designation as the suicide kamikaze planes from World War II because they just Special Forces, like Tiger, now it's like Tiger Squadron, I think. He originally acted saying unit designation as like at this point, like fuck around. Just,
Yeah,
you didn't realize.
definitely purpose.
As the
Right-wing guy, like, let's
fuck around and
just
find out.
slip this through and see if these dumb Yanks will even notice what we did here. All right, well, I gotta go and be a dad. But nice talking to you, Biggie. I'll catch up with you later.
Good chat. See you, brother. Bye. I'm heading up.